Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good day, sir. I am Abdul Jalil Colonel Romaras II. So, we are the group 1 and I'll be the first to discuss our topic. So, we're going to talk about the Ivatan, the resilient through the years. So, the Batanes is composed of tiny group of island in the northernmost part of the Philippines. The indigenous people of Batanes, called the Ivatan, are seasoned farmers, fishers who live in the vast heaven rolling hills. So with the beautiful and abundant coastal water sustained of agriculture, fishing, and other livelihood activities, Batanes is classified as having a type A climate, a pleasant temperate climate. The Ivatan people of Batanes recognize two seasons, which is the summer, they call it Rayon, which lasts from March to May, and the winter, they call it Amian, from November to February. So, the Ivatan is composed of three islands, which is the Ibayat, Batan, and Sabtang. And the Batan is the most populated of the three islands of the Ivatan. So, the Ivatan composed of 15,000 number of population. So, next one is in 1950, they started to migrate in Metro Manila for the economic opportunities. So, the next one, we're going to talk about one of their works or they contribute on their culture. The first one is the yuyos. Yuyos is a special design hook to catch the bang and maintain its live bait for arroyo. So this yuyos is composed of strong wood, at the same time a sharpened bones. And the next one, they call it mutin. Mutin, which means is considered as a good luck charm when fishing for arroyo. So mutin is the charm or the lucky charm when they're going to the fishing. So they going to catch a lot of fishing because they naniniwala sila na ito ay lucky charm. So this mutin is composed of parang isa siyang metal na parang flexible siya, na nilalagyan nila ito na something color blue na at nakikita nyo naman sa screen na parang color blue siya. At the same time, dumadala sila ng ball pen. So, they say it as a charm to catch a lot of fish. So, I think that's all my part. So, the next reporter will be discuss the deep inside what is the Ivatan live.
About the traditional and ritual of the mataw fishing. So, mataw fishing is integrated with farming as a subsistence activity since all fishermen are also farmers. So in mataw, which could both mean the fisher and the fishing method, is one of the most traditional fishing method in Batanes. So it is usually done during March to June each year and is aimed at catching arayu by using debang as live bait. Mataw fishing with their climate adaptation. So in my Banua ritual, perform every March to May to open the fishing season aligned with the migration of arroyo. So seasonal adaptation, mataw fishers move between Mahataw and Dura, showing a flexible lifestyle that adapts to natural cycle. So community management, the Dura Mataw Association manages fishing activities, ensuring sustainable and fair catch distribution. So, in climate resilience, traditional knowledge, seasonal timing, and communal rules help the community adapt to changing environmental conditions. So, another one is community management. So, the Dura Mataw Association manages fishing activities, ensuring sustainable and fair catch distribution. So, in climate resilience, traditional knowledge, seasonal timing, and communal rules help the community adapt to changing the conditions. So this is the step of fishing process in mataw. So step 1, Aris catches debang, which is the bait fish, using live bait like ipon or crayfish, or tatus, a coconut crab along with other small marine animals. So, in step 2, ipon are caught with nets and kept alive by feeding them wakay. So, parang ginagawa nilang pinipreserve nila yung nakakatch nila mga isda para in time na may magkaroon ng typhoon is may preserve pa rin na isda. So in step 3, Aris uses a special hook called you use to catch debang without killing it. So only leave debang can attract arayu. So in previous, I will show you about the phase of the use. So step 4, once ready, Aris goes out alone to sea in a small power boat called Tataya. So Tataya is parang ito yung port ng isang bangka. Itong sa figure 7. So fishers believe that carry a motion or aqua-colored bead from ancient Asian sites for the protection and good luck. So since yung mga mataw is they believe that if ever daw yung sea is medyo bluish is they called as Ejang, or in English protection and good luck. And that's all for.
So good evening. Livelihood and knowledge in farming. Over 75% of Ivatan laborers relies on agriculture and fishing. These Ivatan people have distinctive strategies in knowledge and farming. So iba yung approach nila in planting crops. It is largely influenced by the need to cope with the extreme weather. So due to frequent typhoons and strong winds, they prioritize planting root crops like ube, wakay, and others which are tolerant to typhoons and strong winds compared to ground crops. So, garlic, onions, and ginger also an important crops. Yung ube, tinatanim nila yan once a year in a parcel of lands. Yung mga Ivatan kasi often have multiple parcels of land to ensure na if some of their crops ay nasira ng typhoons, other parcel may survive. So after harvesting ng ube, wakay naman ang itatanim nila and crop together with corn. So they also plant different vegetables like mga leguminous crops for domestic consumption. So basically they practice crop rotation. So they help in soil conservation since nakakapagpahinga yung lupa, and at the same time planting leguminous crops helps in nitrogen fixation. So itong season ng planting nila ng mga vegetables, magsisimula yan in the month of May, then i-harvest naman on the month of August. Mayroon din silang unique trellis system which is yung nasa picture that is close to the ground instead of nakatayo. So ang ginagamit nila dyan is viao, which is a local plant and serve as windbreaker and boundaries sa different farms and mga different parcels. Yun lang po, thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Hanisa Abdullah, and now let's move on to observations and experiences climate change reality. The farmers and fishers of Batanes have observed some changes in their climate and weather pattern which brought adverse and positive impact to their livelihood activities and their way of life. Here are the some changes that they observed to their climate. First one is stronger winds and bigger waves. In recent years, fishers in Batangas like Aris have noticed stronger winds and much bigger waves than before. This condition make it harder or sometimes even impossible for them to go out and fish. This means fewer days at the sea but less fish caught. What is more, fish that is used to be found close to shore like the prized arayo, dibang, yellowfin, tuna, Panggit, and lapu-lapu are no longer easy to catch nearby. Second one is extreme weather events. Farmers, fishers have also observed more extreme and unpredictable weather. They say that when it's hot, it is really hot, and when it's cold, it's really cold. Aris, who is also a farmer, mentioned that the dry periods are becoming longer and more intense. Last one is less intense and frequent typhoons. Interestingly, not all changes have been negative. Aris and other locals noticed that typhoons, while still present, are less frequent and less intense. This given them a longer fishing season and more opportunities to catch fish. So, their catch has increased. And now let's move on to informations and disaster preparedness. Disaster preparedness has long been a part of the Ivatan way of life. Even before the use of modern weather forecast, the Ivatan people relied on their deep connection with nature and their environment to predict incoming disaster. For example, they interpret an orange horizon as a warning of an approaching storm. When ants or insects start coming out from the sides of their houses, it's taken as a sign of incoming heavy rains or west-blowing winds, known locally as habagat. Additionally, the emergence of new bamboo shoots or buds of the Arius plant is believed to signal a heavy downpour. In modern times, the Ivatans have adapted well to technology. They now use radio, television, internet, and social media to stay informed about typhoons and other extreme weather events. When a storm is forecasted, the community doesn't wait. They immediately secure their roofs, protect their livestock, and tie down or store their boats. This is often done through bayanihan. By blending age-old wisdom and modern communication tools, the Ivatan people remain resilient, prepared, and united in facing the challenges of natural disaster.
Good day and Assalamualaikum. I am Bain Simagi Manuba. So let's move to the stories of adaptation rising from the climate change. So over the centuries of being isolated from the mainland and being a highly vulnerable to typhoons, the Ivatan have developed a sustainable and climate resilient agricultural system, which is in agriculture. Ang mga farmers ay adapt nila yung climate change impacts through planting root crops, which is this root crops is underground and not easily taken away by the wind or not affected by the strong typhoons. So aside from that, they have so-called trellis system, which is this trellis is there to support their root crops. An example of their common use trellises are corn, viawu or Misacanthus sp, Polamaria or Bitaog. Scientific name of this is the Calophyllum inophyllum and others. They observed warmer climate in the past years had affected their working time in the farm, so they schedule their work time. So for example, in the past they work until or later than 10 a.m. Then now they work as early as 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then nag-resume sila afternoon, depending nga lang sa level of the heat. So on the other hand, fishers have also adapted to the harsh impacts of the changing climate. Like they change the timing and schedule of fishing due to unpredictability of weather patterns, and they also go further than usual fishing grounds, so they can the common practice is to increase their fish catch. There are also technological innovations and improved or modern fishing techniques. Example of these are compressor fishing, use of bright lights, and etc. They developed by fishers to cope with the impacts of climate change. However, there are social tensions and gear conflicts generated the use of these modern fishing technologies, according to a researcher Manga has on 2016. There are also ordinances such as establishing marine sanctuaries and no-net fishing zone in specific areas, which is they adapt strategies to protect their fishing grounds and other marine resources. These ordinances are strictly followed by all the fishers in that community. So through the years, ang mga Ivatan ay ina-adapt na nila ang pagkaiba-iba ng klima by clearing their environment and practicing sustainable agriculture techniques and systems. As I said earlier, they know now what and when to plant a certain crops. They know the indigenous fishing. They also start specific agriculture activities, and they can now predict incoming weather events. So in the next slide, which is the looking forward, a future of hope of the Ivatanians. So despite the vulnerability of the Ivatan to extreme climate events, they really rely heavily on agriculture and fishing activities. Why? Because this is their daily subsistence. Their livelihood activities may have been affected by the impacts of changing the climate, but the Ivatan, including Aries, will continue to practice and assert their traditional, which is the mataw fishing and indigenous farming practices to maintain and enhance their resiliency.